Hey everybody, welcome back into Pritches Get Stitches. Glad you're here. Glad you found us. Holly, how you doing?
I'm doing good. I had a first experience today, and it's only 9 a.m.
Okay.
I was kicked out of my first experience. I was kicked out of my first. I don't want to say my first. I was kicked out for the first time from a Facebook group today.
Oh, got kicked out, huh?
Yeah.
What'd you do?
So it's a group that women can post to see if they're dating the same guy. And I didn't even know these like types of groups existed.
Okay.
And either Nikki or Lonnie invited me to it, your sister-in-law or niece. And it's just,
I think that would be fun. Yeah, I think that would be interesting.
It's great fun. Like,
okay.
So I'm in this group, and then it's like basically they'll post pictures of men that they're seeing or from dating apps or, you know, even maybe their boyfriends, whatever. And they'll say like, is anybody else seeing this guy? And then you can list any, or like they'll say, usually they'll post a picture and it'll say any T or red flags. And for the most part, it's just like red flag city. You're like, oh, I went out with this dude, emotionally abusive. Oh, this guy's got restraining orders. Like it just so much drama. So I've been out here on a few dates, and every single guy that I matched with and went out on dates with was on that page.
Oh, wow.
Except one. And then one of the other guys who I hung out with, like went on a date with, he was on there, but there was nothing like bad about him really, other than he eats everybody's food. Like a couple girls were like, he's my coworker. He eats all my food from the fridge and then won't even admit to it. So like that made me laugh, but there wasn't anything like bad about him. But every other dude who I've gone out with, just crazy, like, whoo, glad we didn't keep hanging out. So anyway, they just post all of these things. And a lot of it is to do with like girls who go out on one date and they're like, well, I had kind of, and most of them who are posting, so you can post anonymously too. And most of them who are posting are really young. You can just tell, like they're young. Right. First, you can tell they're young because they're posting pictures of young guys. And it's almost like, I don't want to call them idiots. They just don't have life experience.
Right.
No life experience, and probably not a whole lot of experience in love. And listen, I'm not saying like I am the best person.
I just am trying to figure out why you got kicked. Like in my mind, I'm like, okay, she got kicked. You started talking about young girls. So I'm like, okay, she got kicked out because she's too old. She got kicked out because maybe they think she's a boy because she posted her AI photos. She got kicked out because she's telling people they're idiots. I just can't figure it out. Why would Holly get kicked out?
So I'm like in this group, and all these girls, first of all, like people that like young girl posts a couple nights ago, and she's basically saying like, I went out with this guy and I think there's some red flags, or we've been dating for a little bit, like, you know, a month or two. And she posts whatever she posts. It's like completely like, this dude's a narcissist. Like everything you've posted, look up the symptoms of narcissism and this is it.
Right.
So then it's like other young girls who are like, maybe he's just really eager and needs additional, like maybe he's like stuff that doesn't make sense. Like maybe he just needs more validation from you, like blah, like, and I'm like, no, he's clearly a narcissist. Like, here's the symptoms, read about each. You posted literally like one sentence or one paragraph, and everything that you've said he's done, it's right here, almost verbatim, right? So at this point, I'm like, these girls are idiots. And so like, I really like want to post that type of stuff, but I don't, you know? So I'm like, okay. So one girl posts about, hey, is there a site that we can get on? Like, what's a dating app that we can get on where it's not all military or tourists, you know? And I'm like, or, you know, or, like older, like people are too old for me or whatever. And so another girl responds and she's like, well, there's not really anything here. Most of those dating apps are going to be older people, like late 20s and above. Older people, late 20s and above. Yeah. So I reply and I'm like, this isn't why I got kicked out, but it's still, I'm getting to the why I got kicked out, but it still made me laugh. So I reply and I say, dear God, if late 20s and up is considered older ones, I guess that makes me, and I wrote ... dead. And like tons of people have like laughed. And then so the girl's like, no, I just mean that most people that match with me. So the girl who made the post, I just meant most people that match with me are in their late 30s or almost 40. And I was like, oh, I was replying to the other girl's post who said that, you know, older ones like late 20s and above. And I was like, I made the joke because I'm in my 40s. Like, that was it. So it just got like a lot of laughter, blah, blah, blah. Well, after reading like that post the other night, and I'll admit the night that I had posted the offending remark, I had been drinking a little bit here at the house. I'd had 2 or 3 vodka tonics and stronger vodka tonics. And so I'm just like thinking like these girls who don't know, they're mistaking trauma bonds for love. Right. So of course I know all about, I could literally go and get like, I could probably go to like,
we could do a podcast on it.
I probably could do a podcast. I could, but I could go take the boards and become a certified therapist based on everything I've learned because of my ex-husband. So I like make a post where I was like, hey, I'm just going to put this out. I'm just going to put this out here. And I make the post. Well, then the post gets flagged because there could be keywords in there that the Facebook moderator group can shut down the post. So they're like, go back and put everything in the comments. So I put another I edit the post to say like, I'm just going to make a general statement. And then I, put these C comments for statement. And then I end up, the first comment I say, it's basically like, hey, I think a lot of people on this site are mistaking trauma bonds for love. Like, I kind of go on to explain it. I say, I did this for years. I finally got into therapy and learned to love myself and learned the type of love I deserved. And I hope that all of you, can realize if it's, blah, blah, blah. Like, I'm basically encouraging everybody to go heal themselves and not accept shitty love. That's not really love. It's a trauma bond. And then I make one more reply that says like, stop looking for the potential of who he could be and look at the reality of who he is. Like in the words of the great Maya Angelou, when somebody shows you who they are, believe them the first time. Like that was literally it. Like trauma bond for love, blah, blah, blah. The amount of people who liked that, like agreed, like, they were like just writing like agreed or like a meme like this, like probably between the liking the post and each of the comments, almost 200 people were like, truth, speak it, sister. So I wake up this morning and I, just kind of laying in bed and I notice I check my Facebook, there's a notification for me to edit the post because there could be, what does it say? I want to read you exactly what it says. Oh, well, wait a minute. I guess I can't read you what it says because it's disappeared from my comments. It basically says like, there could be keywords in here or you're bullying. Like, that's what it was. Like, one of the rules was like, be compassionate, no bullying. So basically, because I don't know why I was I was bullying.
How dare you tell people that, to take care of themselves and heal themselves? Like,
so
how dare you do that?
I got that actually last night, like the edit the post. Or it said your post has been removed. That's all it said. Your post has been removed. And then you could see the details. And then that's when it was like bullying, harassing. So I decide like, okay, I'm gonna message the group admins because when I first had posted it and it said like the keywords or whatever, you could get the group closed down. I went back and like, okay, is there any word in here that could be considered like a keyword? And I changed words. I changed the way I said something to make it as least offensive as possible. So I end up sending the group admin. There's a like admin group message you can send. So I send it there and then it's an auto response. Like you have to message each moderator individually because so I'm like, fine, I will. I copy that message. And there's like 50 moderators. I don't know. Sure enough, every single one I go in and send. So one, I said, I'm a little unsure why my post was removed, considering the number of likes and people who resonated with it. If I'm actively encouraging women to heal themselves and learn to love who they are, how am I not being compassionate? Why is it that calling a spade is not compassionate? I'm not attacking anyone. I am actively encouraging people to love themselves enough to heal from their traumas and relating to my own personal experience. A ton of people have liked what I said and no one seems to be offended. Why are y'all being offended for them? So only one of the moderators responds and she says, this was this morning. Good morning. I'm not sure which group you're speaking about. I moderate multiple groups. Which group are you speaking of? So I say, thank you. It was this group. I named the group. I said, so I went back to go like, look at the name of the group. And that's when I realized, oh, I've actually been kicked out of the group now. So I was like, I've been removed. I said, this is the whatever group, but apparently I've been removed now. I was in both that one and the other one similar to it, but I left the similar one yesterday because no one posts in it. Does that automatically remove me from this group too? If not, I guess someone kicked me out. I tried searching for the group and now it doesn't even appear. So not only have I been kicked out, now I've been blocked.
You've been banned.
So she says, it looks like it was an automatic removal of the post due to Facebook moderation that can shut the groups down. I will have to research more with you and how you were removed from the group. I apologize. I'm working, so I may not get back to this until later today. So I said, oh, wow, that's crazy. No worries. Thank you. I don't know that that's not a true statement. So like I messaged my friend Tanya because she's always like, I'm like, oh girl, you'll never believe this. Like we're always sending the drama back and forth. Right. And so I said like, hey, here was the message I got. And my other friend, Lisa, and both of them were like, no, there's no automatic removal. Like the moderators had to go in and remove you.
It sounds like the post was automatically removed, but it sounds like she says from what I was hearing is the post was automatically removed, but you were removed for some reason, which she doesn't know. She's trying to figure that out.
Got it.
But the post was automatically removed, which is weird because it didn't sound like it's a post to be automatically removed. I mean, trauma, because the word trauma is in there. Like
trauma. That was the only thing I could think. Like that was literally the whole thing that I could think of. And now I'm not even like, and I'm really not even mad about being kicked out because like I ever intended to post on there because I'm not even like really dating. I just liked the daily dose of drama and to be like, oh my God, these girls are idiots. Yeah. And not in like a bad way. Or even like, oh my God, I'm so glad that I recognize what this is now because of what I've been through.
Yeah.
But I mean, I do try to be like funny in the group. Like the one girl, Lisa, like she actually messaged me because this was a couple nights ago. Like, and I've just been trying to make friends out here and everybody's so flaky. And she actually messaged me because she saw the comment where I said like, if late 20s, is the older one and I'm dead. And she was like, I saw that like we're in a few of the same same groups and like your comments always make me laugh. And so she's like, I live in Kailua, you live in Kailua. Any chance you want to get to like gather and hang out? And so we actually met up last night. She was super cool. So I'm like, please don't be crazy in the end. Because then she starts telling me like, girl, I was hanging out with another girl from the groups that I met. We hung out 3 times. And on the 3rd time, she just got nuts and starts yelling at me and have a nice life and slams the door. And I'm like, that's too much for me. Like, I hope you're not crazy. Yeah. She's like, I'm not crazy. But isn't that what crazy people say? So we had a good laugh. But anyway, so yeah, that was my exciting day today. I was kicked out of my first group ever for encouraging people to better themselves.
I've probably been kicked out of Facebook groups too. But I just decided on Sunday, I'm part of a small business in Prosper Facebook group. Right. And so the admin, there's only one, and she's like, there's 3,500 members of this group and she's the only admin. And she's like, hey, does anybody, can anybody be an admin? Like there's just a bunch of posts. And so I was like, yeah, sure. I'll do it. Like it's a chance to like kind of put myself out there a little bit.
You already don't have time to post our Facebook polls. And everything else. How are you going to be an admin?
I know, like I'm delegating that to you right now. I'm delegating it. All right. No, it's just basically to approve the posts because I guess it had some kind of inappropriate things go through. But man, the amount of we're going to come clean your air ducts posts, spam posts that get on there and then detailing cars. And I feel bad because I like to post about Jared detailing cars because that's what he does. But the amount of like fake detailing posts, it's like, oh my gosh. So I haven't yet, but I'm going to put a post in there, like introduce myself. Hey, I'm helping admin. Cause she's like, do whatever you want. She's like, I started this group like a few years back because I belong to a lot of mom groups and I had a business. And if I mentioned anything about business, they're like, no, absolutely not. You can't.
Right.
Cause I mean, maybe it's like
usually it's like, don't post, stuff. Don't try to sell things. Yeah. So she started this group and she's like, now I don't even have the business anymore. And like, but I have this group, it's 3,500 people. Like, anyway, so I'm going to put a post in there like, okay, like I am really sorry if you are a legit air duct cleaning company. I'm really sorry. Reach out to me personally. Let me see credentials about that. But every air duct cleaning post will be declined and you will be removed from the group. Like that's the only thing I can do is, like I will bring you back in. I mean, unless you're already like legit with me, but I'm like, there ain't no way. There ain't no way that I'm going to just keep posting because it's everywhere. Like in these detailings and what they do is they get your info. They want you to DM them and then they get a little, like a deposit up front and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, that's how you can tell too, like all the groups, because they have those, like there's tons of scammers in like the groups that I'm on to who do the same thing where they'll like say something and somebody's like, oh, I'm interested. And they'll say, DM me. And I'm always like, oh, if they're putting it in the DM and they're not willing to put this out for everybody to see, there's something wrong there. So every time if I see that, I'll always reply and be like, spam, don't DM. Because I'm like, somebody's going to get taken. Like, I almost got taken because I don't, I had been off Facebook for so long. I haven't sold anything to anybody. And then you're like, that's a scam. Don't do that. And I'm like, oh, well, thank you. Because I totally would have been
like, so they told me to, give them this code for Google, whatever. I'm like, nah, don't do it.
Right. Yeah.
Don't do it. Scam. So, don't do it. Yeah. And they're legit. They'll message you back and forth a few times on Marketplace. Like, yeah, I'll send, like, Val had one like, oh, man, my son will be there at 6. And then it was like, send me your Zelle or something. Like, I can't even remember it. I'm like, like, it was not like, what's your Zelle? I'll pay you with Zelle. It was like something else. Like, oh, it's a business Zelle and I have to have a code to approve it. And I'm like, nah, you don't. Nope. So she called him out on it and then he like disappeared. So I'm going to do that. And I'm going to put a post up and just like, sorry, like, we're not doing it. And hopefully, like, my goal with it is that we can utilize it like the process servers pages that I'm on, where obviously it's process server to process server. So like, hey, we're looking for a job. But like, for people to be like, go on there and say, hey, I need a plumber. And somebody that's a plumber can be like, hey, I'm a plumber. You know what I mean? As opposed to, because right now all it is here's my business, here's my business, here's my business. And nobody looks at that stuff. So anyways, like, nobody goes to that like, oh, let me see if there's a plumber somewhere. Like, you just don't. So anyways, well, that's fun. Well, good luck with that, getting kicked out. You've had that on there. Are we dating the same guy for a while? Like, that's been on our show notes. And so it's just interesting that we've never talked about it. Like, we never got to it. And then it turned into, I got kicked out. So
now I've gotten kicked out. Yeah.
Yeah. So you had obviously other things to talk about with it, but now you're not even there.
Now I can't even look. But I did message, Lisa this morning because we talked about it last night. I was like, yeah. And that post was, flagged or whatever. And she was kind of just saying, like, it's so silly that, people can get offended. Like, people get offended by so easily these days. And so we were kind of talking about that. So then when I messaged her this morning, I was like, oh my God, I guess I've been kicked out of the group now. So she goes in and she goes, well, all of your posts are still there, but now it says that you're a former member. I was like, except the offending post where I said, heal yourself. Right. And then I was like,
probably meant, I probably thought kill yourself.
No. And I was like, I bet that they took me out because they don't want people to heal themselves, because then it would take away their page. Like, if they heal themselves, because there was one other comment I made where the girl posted a picture of her boyfriend and says, like, any T red flags. And I said, is he...
What do you mean any tea? I'm full.
So I guess that's I spill the tea.
Oh, okay.
I guess that's where it all came from. Yeah.
I thought you meant like tea, like any tea. Like,
oh, no.
Testosterone.
No, it's like
that's the only thing I can think of.
Like, any testosterone. Anything to talk about?
Yeah, I got you.
So she had posted her boyfriend and she says something about basically like anybody go out with him or whatever. And I said, has he given you any reason? Like, how she posted it was basically like about trust or something. And I said, like, has he given you a reason not to trust him? And she's like, actually, no, like, trust is a really big thing in our relationship. Like, we have the passcodes to each other's phones. Like, she starts describing very healthy behavior. Like, everything she said, there's not even like a hint of an amber flag. Like, oh, he's there, he shows up, he responds when I message. Like, everything that you want a boyfriend. And I'm like, she's like, but being in this group and seeing all of these posts has now made me paranoid. And I was like, so if you're paranoid, leave the group. Yeah. Well, then I think she kind of gets mad as like, and again, you can tell she's young because the guy she's posted looks 18, 19. And she's like, we're allowed to post about our guy if we want to know if he's doing something. I said, 100% you are. I'm just saying you're causing drama and anxiety for yourself in what seems like a healthy relationship. Yeah. To where it's going to drive you to act like a nutcase, and he's going to leave you. They removed that post of me saying, leave the group, because again, they don't want their membership declined, but also you're driving yourself to paranoia for no good reason. He's shown no signs. And then from that post, all the women who were like, I know, I totally want to post my boyfriend so bad. And I'm like, oh my God, get out of the group, girls. Yeah. Like, get out of the group. I don't know. People are nuts. I'm literally
people
only
are crazy.
In it for the drama.
Oh, that's good.
Right. So
maybe you should just start messing with people and be like,
I can't. Now I've been kicked out.
Well, now you can't. But in the future, you could utilize like a fake, because in groups, I think you can change your name, and so you just utilize a fake name, and then you're just like, oh yeah, I was just out with him last night.
I don't
just to cause more drama.
No, that's not my style. But no, like, I will say though, it was funny though, seeing all the guys that I'd gone out with. I'm like, oh,
hello,
that guy's on there. Okay.
Yeah. Interesting.
So anyway, yeah.
Well,
a little drama.
Yeah. Well, Holly, we aren't eating anything today because I said the next thing we're gonna eat is potted meat food product, and you can't find it, and so we'll have to Amazon it or something. And then I just didn't go get anything after that because I forgot. So nothing there.
Fair.
But I am drinking. Lexi made me a smoothie. Well, she made herself a smoothie and had extra, and I'm drinking it out of my new "Don't Tread on Me" Texas-inspired tumbler. Which you tell me now I'm a flaming libertarian because
I didn't say you are. I said, are you? Isn't that there?
I have no idea. This is
Neither am I. You know, I'm
Texas.
not into politics.
Don't tread on me. Neither. Like I'm. Whatever. I go vote when I'm supposed to vote, and that's it. And I didn't even vote this last time because I just forgot. So, Holly, let's move to the fun fact of the day. You got a lot in there.
It's a good one.
Okay.
I do. So the fun fact. So last Sunday was the Oscars, which
go watch that.
I don't know. I don't watch it. I don't even, and most of the shows they recommend, you know, when I've seen them, I'm like, this was absolutely awful. So then you know it's going to be like nominated for
like this was
an
the best
Oscar
film
it's
of the
terrible.
year. Speaking of movies,
So
I did post something the other day because I saw.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was a post that I had put like a memory and then came back up, but somebody had said like Siskel and Ebert give it 2 thumbs up, and then I thought to myself, our kids will never know what that means. They'll never know who Siskel and Ebert are. I used to watch the Today Show and a few things, you know, the Smucker's People Turning 100 with Willard Scott, and then they would do movie reviews and have Siskel and Ebert give it 2 thumbs up.
And Al Roker did something on that too. He did the
he was like Al Roker was the backup weather guy.
He was the backup weather guy, but he had his own little thing that now I can't think of. He had his own little segment that he would do, like the Smucker's 100 years old. But
yeah, I don't know what Al Roker did.
Right?
Willard Scott. Is he still alive? I think he died.
I would think not. I always used to get him confused with do you have diabetes? What's that guy's name? Why can I never remember his name? Wilford Brimley.
Is Willard Scott still alive?
He's got to be dead. He was like 100 when he was on Today's Show.
He died September 4th, 2021, 87.
Yeah, I was going to say he was old when we were kids.
He did not make it.
Well, I mean, I guess he wasn't old when we were kids then, because
he looked old. Listen,
that was
he
30
looked
years
old.
ago.
That's like Steve Martin. I saw that thing. It was like Steve Martin's 87, and I'm like, and it's like Steve Martin looked 87 in 1989. Yeah, I know that dude was old. That dude was old. Yeah, he died. Old Willard Scott. Did you know that old Willard Scott was the very first McDonald's? Ronald
McDonald. He was a clown. I did know that.
That's a fun fact of the day.
We used to talk about that on the show. Okay, so fun fact of the day. So I never pay attention to the Oscars. The only thing I ever pay attention to on the Oscars is their documentary. Wow, why did I say it that way? The documentary.
Rubbing off on you. Ratatouille documentary.
So I always just pay attention to that category.
Kuzak's going to drive off the side of the road if you say that again that way.
Documentary. So I watched I looked at the documentary section, and I always look at those. Typically, I do like the short list, and I didn't even look at the short list, and I didn't even know what short list meant until I had to look what's the short list. So every year, the Oscars will put out what's called a short list, and the movies that are nominated for Oscars have to be on that short list. And then, so from that short list, I guess they must take votes, and then the top however many gets put into the category for whatever. So best documentary, that's why I was following.
Why do I not see that?
All of those, because that's not on there yet. But
you haven't even started what's on here? Okay.
No, not yet. But I was telling you why I was following the Oscars.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Is so for the documentary thing.
Watch the best documentaries.
Right.
Gotcha.
And then I noticed that the best picture was Oppenheimer. So I was like, oh yeah, I've watched several documentaries about him, nuclear bomb, all of that good stuff, of course. So in honor of that best picture, that's what the fun fact of the day is going to be about. So the Manhattan Project was the code name of the ultra secret development of the nuclear bomb. The project was primarily based in Los Alamos, New Mexico, but research and production also occurred in 30 locations across the US, UK, and Canada. Army Lieutenant General Leslie Groves and physicist J. Robert Oppenheimer were in charge of the project, which began in October 1941. And the first bomb was tested in August of 1945 in Alamogordo, New Mexico. So, side note to that, I've been watching the Cold War documentary that was just released on Netflix, the docuseries, and they're talking about how before they did this test, they warned nobody
Oh, geez.
They didn't tell the New Mexicans. They didn't tell the Texans. They didn't tell anybody. And it was within a range that of Texas and Mexico, New Mexico, and probably even Mexico that they should have said. So 30 miles away from where they did the detonation, there was a girls' dance camp. And there was 30, I think they said 30 girls. No, there was 15 girls or something, 10 girls maybe, I think is what it was, and their dance instructor. They knew nothing about it. They are wakened up because the blast, what's that called? The after blast, whatever it's called. Why can't I think of it? The
fallout, afterburn.
No, the blast, shockwave.
Shockwave.
That's what I'm talking. The shockwave was so violent, it knocked their bunks over, and like they all fell out of bed.
Oh wow!
They go outside because it's a bright light, and one of the girls basically said like, "It's so bright out, tremendous." Like I can't remember her quote, but basically she was like, "It was like the sun was out, but it was the brightest sun we'd ever seen." So they end up going back to bed. They wake up the next morning, and there's basically white ash still coming from the sky. They think it's snow because it's covered. They run out and they're in the snow and they're putting it to their face, and it's hot. And so they what's the word? Rationalize that it's hot snow because it's summer, so it must be hot snow. So they're playing in this, rolling around, playing. Not one of those girls lived to the age of 30.
Jeez.
They all died of like cancer-related radiation poisoning. I was disgusted when I saw that. Like, I understand the need to keep it secret, but really, like, you should have evacuated that area or something. So anyway, that was a side note to that. So anyway, the first bomb was tested, like I was saying, in 45 in Alamogordo. The project employed nearly 130,000 people at its peak and cost nearly $2 billion. The project was so secretive that even Harry S. Truman didn't even know it existed until he took over after the president's death, after FDR's death.
Right.
And the project, or children that were born in the hospital there, because, 130,000 people, there's going to be children born. Their birth certificates have a P.O. box listed because it was so secret that they couldn't even say. So it's a P.O. box in Santa Fe. That's on their birth certificate. It's not even for Los Alamos, New Mexico. Mm-hmm. So this was the best part. Oh, we're almost done. Sorry. I know like you're bored of the history, but
you're good. As long as you don't have a test.
One man.
Ooh, let me see.
I think his name is pronounced Tsutomu Yamaguchi, like Christy Yamaguchi. So Tsutomu Yamaguchi survived both the bombs in Hiroshima, however you say it, and Nagasaki, and is the only person to have been officially recognized by the government of Japan as having survived both. He was a resident of Nagasaki, and he was in Hiroshima on the day of the bombing, which was 6 August 1945, for business. After the first bomb hits, he doesn't really know what to do. Like, everything's gone but the train station. So he boards the train the next day and travels back to Nagasaki. On August 9th, he tells the story that on the morning of August 9th of 1945, he's in the middle of being told by his supervisor that he is crazy because he's describing how one bomb destroyed an entire city.
Oh, wow.
When the second bomb in Nagasaki detonates. He recognized the bright flash that occurs right before. He recognized it from Hiroshima. He jumps under his desk and is basically hides it out. He's the only person to have survived in his office. He said that he didn't even have time to warn, and he didn't even have a conscious thought to go under the desk. It was basically like
just
his brain recognized it, hide. So he did. And he eventually died of stomach cancer, but not till the year of 2010. And he lived to the age of 93. And that has confounded scientists because they're like, this man walked through these major radiation areas twice and still lived to 93. So, fun fact of the day. That just thrills me. So, I know you were bored, but.
So I just, this guy lives, and immediately I go to, like, they can't figure it out. And I'm like, conspiracy, right? Something with this guy's an alien or whatever. And it made me think earlier today, like, I talk about it all the time. I love the conspiracy theories. I love to watch and just take it in. Like, I'm not like one of those that's like, I don't believe that, therefore I'm not going to even listen. I'm like, it's intriguing, right? And it made me think like where conspiracy theories come from. And I was like, I should probably do like a satire conspiracy theory thing, like videos, like one of them being like, 'cause I don't know why I was thinking about this today. It was early. I drove to Dallas. I had to get some stuff done down there. So I'm like early. I'm tired. Anyways, so it hailed last night pretty good. Like there was a good little hailstorm and just I was thinking to myself, like a conspiracy theorist or a conspiracy theory would be like, hail is not real. Hail is not real. You know why hail is not real? It's a way for the government to get us inside, because if hail was real and hail kills people, why don't cows and horses that are out in the middle of a field ever die from hail? So therefore, hail must not be real. It's not. It's the government, and it's just over one area, and they're trying to, or it's insurance companies, or not insurance companies. It's roofing companies.
Car companies, yeah.
Roofing companies are trying to get more business, and I just thought like
car dealerships. Yeah,
that's how some of them are. Like some of these like conspiracy theories
so
are
silly.
like, and it just makes me laugh. So I'm like, it can't be real. Hail cannot be real because cows would die.
It's I've like planes above, drones above, releasing a bunch of ice.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Pellets.
That's what it is.
I mean, I would say that would probably bring more people to our page, but I don't know if we want that kind of people on our page.
No, it just made me laugh. It just made me laugh, like, because I just was thinking about that. Like the things I think about, I'm like, oh, hailstorms, not real. They're fake. Didn't really happen. Yeah. Anyways, don't know. Just kind of made me laugh. So, and speaking of hailstorms and springtime in Texas.
Oh, you probably get a lot of them.
For those, I feel like we never got hail a lot in Killeen as a kid. Like I only remember a couple storms.
Small. I don't think we got like the huge baseball, golf ball sizes. I mean, I do remember hailstorms as a kid, but it was always like the little pea size.
Right, but I just don't remember anything big. And so, I mean, I'm up here and it's every spring we get hail and it just drives me nuts. And I'm like to the point where like we park our truck in the garage just because it's, the nicest of the cars we have. And the newest. And so my car, the van, they get just pelted. But anyways, so so our town has it to where, I don't know if every town is this way, the tornado sirens go off if there's quarter size hail or bigger, like spotted in the area, or if there's a tornado. And so naturally, our area is very transplant. Like there's a lot of transplants from other areas. And people have gotten their tornado knowledge from the movie Twister, and they think that the tornado is going to follow them no matter where they go. So anyways, the tornado sirens go off last night and I'm just checking Facebook and every transplant that I know that lives up here is in their closet.
Let me guess. They're sitting in a closet somewhere.
Yeah. Just in their closet.
In their bathroom or in the bathroom in the bathtub with a mattress over their heads.
Yeah. And I just am like, I've lived in Texas my whole life. As long as I can remember, I've lived in Texas. And how many times did those tornado sirens go off as a kid? And then now, I mean, I hear tornado sirens minimum 4 to 5 times a year, every year. And so not one time ever in my life have I gone and sat in a closet waiting for the sirens.
Me neither. I mean, the only time I ever had to get into tornado prep was in school. That's you remember, those are the only time when those sirens would go off. They would evacuate us. We would go sit in Clifton Park. Remember the long hallway? They would line us up in, line and then behind, and then they'd make you go down and cover your head.
In front of the windows. The only time we ever did that. In front of the windows. Like, why did we not just go under our desk? I mean, if this dude survived a freaking nuclear bomb by going under his desk, twice. Why did we not?
Once.
Why did we not go under our desk? Why were we always, let's go to the front hallway where all the windows are and hunker down, get on all fours.
The best grade to be in then was third grade, because third grade, you were down in the extended, remember they had that extension of the school?
Yeah.
That was where all the third graders sat. So they were
only third graders would have lived. But even then we didn't have that many actual tornado sirens going off during school. We just always had the drills. Like, hey, it's tornado drill time. Like fire drill was great because you got to go outside and hang out.
Right.
Tornado drill was like, hey, if we have a tornado, this is what we're going to do. And now as I'm looking back, I'm like, that was probably the worst thing to do. Like, get down on the ground. Like, I could understand, hey, cover your head. I got it. But right in front of the windows, there had to be a better way.
Yeah.
Even in your classroom, I would think in your classroom would have been safer just to get up against a wall.
Especially if you're two small, and you only had 2 small windows, or however. It wasn't like you're wasn't like that the whole side was windows like they have in, the front of the school.
And they were interior rooms, so I don't know. That was weird.
Yeah.
So anybody that's an administrator from the 1990s, tell us why did we do that?
Tell us why.
Why did we do that? Like that made no sense. So we had some crazy storms last night. Val has tulips, and every year they sprout and come up, and we had 5 or 6 that were in one little bunch, and they all got. It was like God was like, and you shall not have tulips because they got destroyed. I mean, they were hammered, and we had quite a bit of hail out there. It was.
How big was the hail? Was it like golf ball size?
Quarter size. It was the biggest ones were quarter size, but most of them were small, and so I don't know that there was much damage.
Yeah.
To anything.
Yeah, and I don't know if they get hail here, but they get a lot of rain. Like I've been to the beach in the last 2 weeks for 1 full day and 1 hour of another day, and it's raining now. And I get it, rainy season, but I'm just glad that I get to park in the garage. And if they do have hail, it doesn't matter because I'm parked in a garage. So anyways, speaking of twisters though.
Yeah. Let's see what you got today.
I just sent you this week's tongue twister of the day.
Oh, jeez. Really?
Okay, here we go. This is a common one though. This is one I've heard before. Let's see if you can do it. By the way, Kuzik said she is very impressed by your tongue twisting skills.
I have good tongue twister skills. Why I don't
Should we put your highlighter in, or do we do it without the highlighter in?
Nah, let's just do this.
Okay, here we go. You're up.
I slid a sheet. I slid upon a slitted sheet. I sit.
Ah, you cheater.
Cheater. I just said I'm good. I'm good.
Okay, here we go. I slid a sheet I slid upon a slitted sheet I shit. On a slitted sheet I sit.
Gotcha.
I slid a sheet I slid upon a slitted sheet I shit.
I slid a sheet I slid upon a slitted shit.
Oh.
I slid a sheet I slid upon a slitted sheet I sit.
There you go. Okay.
I'm pretty good. I don't care what you say.
You are pretty good at that.
It took practice. I would practice toy boat all the time. So like I don't know why, but there's something about like you saying toy boat, but my brain is thinking like pushing the next word through. Like I consciously toy boat.
Yeah,
I consciously like, I don't know.
Toy boat,
but I messed up on that one a little bit.
I can't even get through too. Toy boat. Done. By the second one, it was over.
Irish wristwatch.
Irish wristwatch. Mine was good. Irish wristwatch.
Yours is not good. Yours has not been good.
Irish wristwatch. Done.
You have not said Irish wristwatch one time since like 3 weeks.
Yes, I did.
No, you haven't.
Irish wristwatch.
Whatever.
I did.
All right.
Irish wristwatch.
So here's the deal. Nobody, because I only gave it 12 hours, posted a video of them saying that. So go to our socials.
Yeah.
Huh?
Leave it up. Let's have them do it.
No,
again.
I will. It'll stay up. Just go and see if you like. I want to hear you guys say it. I don't think you guys can, and I'll put
And
this
even
one
if
too.
you don't post a video, do an audio file. Can you post audio files
I don't know,
on
probably.
Facebook? I don't know either.
I slid a sheet I slid upon a slitted sheet I sit.
There you go.
Who sends you these, Kuzak?
Also. Kuzak, but that one wasn't from Kuzak. I was going to do a different one from Kuzak, but then I saw that one and was like, "Ooh, Scott's going to say shit. I'm in."
I did too.
And you did.
Yep.
Ava, your dad cussed.
It's all good. It's all good. So real quick. Hold on real quick. Okay, so Holly, something I've been thinking about that I think about it often because my brain works my brain works a certain way, and the way my brain works is, and it's not to be in like a bad manner or to take things from people or exploit people, anything like that. It's like, how can I turn that, whatever that is, into a business and make money? Like, how can I do that? And right. It's not only just like to make money, because sometimes I do a lot of things for like no money. Sometimes I do things for free, or but it's like, how can my kids make money from that? Like if they're trying to earn money for something, or they want to buy this or that. And that's just how my brain works. Like, it's always like,
right.
Like somebody said something one time, and it was brought to me like somebody does it, but I'm like, dude, somebody could make money picking up kids and driving them to the high school every day.
Right.
Like their kids, they don't want to put them on the bus. They don't want to ride the bus, but they need to ride to school. It's going to help out the mom. And all of a sudden, you're making $1,000 a month to drive kids from, 7:30 to 8:30 every morning. And
ooh, that'd be scary though. Would people give you their kids? They don't.
I know.
Go
No, obviously
with a stranger.
Obviously, I'm not going to do that. And usually it's people
this was
you know.
just an idea you had.
Yeah, obviously it's people I know.
Okay.
I would know people from the neighborhood, things like that. People that I know
was thinking
personally.
like you were just talking a business out there that you saw where they're like, hey, send your kids.
No.
Got it.
No, it'd be people I know and anyways.
Got it.
I obviously did not do that. I'm just saying like, that's where my mind goes. Like somebody's like, oh, if only like, I need to find somebody to like take my kid to school today. I'm like, wait a minute. I could start a business with that. So I don't know. But then I talked to other people. Like I talked to one of the girls that works for me. And I said, she just talked to me. She's like, Scott, I couldn't do what you're doing. Like her brain isn't programmed that way. Her brain is like, I just want to show up, do my job and go home. Right. And I think I'm like, I can't, like, I don't think that way. Like I can't.
Right.
Like even when I was working at the car dealership, it was like, not that I would take it home with me, but I would just, how can I be more efficient? Like, how can I make this better? Or how can I like, whatever, like some people like, they're off the clock.
Right.
And I don't know. I'm just not. I don't know. Like, so my question is like, what causes that? Is that you're inherently born with that? Is that I grew up with an entrepreneur dad that's all I saw was this entrepreneur mindset. And so I adopted it. Like, I'm just trying to figure that out. Like what makes, because you have to have a little bit of everybody. Not everybody's going to be in my position.
Right.
But then because I need people that are like the girl that works for me, that's like, I just want to go to work and get my job done and go home, be done. I don't know.
I think that's a good question because you and I grew up in the same household, but we're completely different. I am one of those people who goes to work.
And you were like, hey, I want to do this. I want to make t-shirts on the side. But I'm like, I don't know that Holly would ever do that because I don't know that you have the mentality. Like if you did it, I wouldn't be surprised. But if you did do it, I don't know that I'd be surprised either because you talked about it. But I'm like,
right. I think for me right now,
you want to just, I go to work and then I'm just going to go to the beach.
Right. And I think that's the biggest thing. But I also think that I have, like, the more I think about, so I'm the type of person that it has to make complete logical sense for me to do this. Almost like risk reward. Mm-hmm. Like, is the risk worth the reward? And I think of, I've thought of some really great business ideas to where, like, I mean, I've written out business plans, like, before the subscription-based home decor model came out, that was going to be my plan, essentially. Like when I lived in Utah, I was like, oh, I could get like an inventory of stuff and have a storefront where people can come in and buy it. But then I can also do a subscription-based model where I can have these great pieces. And then based on whether they pay for a monthly basis, every 3 months, every 6 months, or even just for holidays, I can go in and they pay a fee. I come in and bring different furniture. Right. And, swap out stuff, blah, blah, blah. So like I had this whole idea, but then it was like, yeah, that's a lot of upfront costs, a lot of overhead you're carrying. Mm-hmm. So I scrapped that. Then it was like, how can you make business or money? And sounds terrible. But again, when I went to St. Croix, it's, they are part of the U.S., but they're not. They have no say in voting or anything. They're under the protection of our government, but they get no money from the government, or very little. So their infrastructures, they're terrible. The potholes on the road, big, like the road just ends in some places, like it falls off. And there's still homes there from Hurricane Maria, however many years ago, that have no roofs. They've been tarped for years and years and years. Places in Puerto Rico still don't have power. So I'm like, how could I figure out a way to make business to come in and clean this up, but also give back and help the community? And so when I was talking to people there, it was like, they just don't have the workforce. It's a different mentality down here. So then my idea was bring in people from offshore, bring them in from Florida, put them up in housing, bring the equipment over, do all of this stuff, get it going. And then not only do we fix everything, like we're kind of like a contracting company. I don't know what we are, but we also give back to the community. So we go out and we just pave the roads. We just fill the potholes. We do this for the community's sake, but then we're also there as a construction company you can hire to finish things. And we're bringing in out-of-state people who don't have the mentality, but who otherwise couldn't afford to go live somewhere like St. Croix, a beautiful tropical island. So again, though, upfront costs, like everything to do, I'm like, it's just not feasible. Great idea in my mind, not feasible. So for me, I think the biggest thing is I'm not willing, like, and I've said this many, many times, it doesn't matter how awesome I think the dream is.
Right.
I'm not willing to be poor and put in that hard work anymore. Like, I'm mid 40s. I am zero interest. Maybe if it was in my 20s, it would have been different. But I have zero interest now. And I still have friends like you who are, you know, your age, and they're doing what I do, but they're still trying to build a side empire where eventually they can quit and have their own thing. And I'm like, God, that's a lot of work.
It's hard. It's hard to build something on the side. You're working 8 or 9 hours a day, and then you're trying to build something on the side or trying to make it work. And a lot of times I've noticed people just don't put in the time, effort, or energy, and you know, it just never gets off the ground, and they don't have
the time, effort, and energy. Oh, Lou, here she is again.
Just watching.
So I think that's the thing too. So it's like, I don't know. I think it's like the types of people, you know, you were willing to risk, you know, that, where I was never willing to risk that. Like, right. I was always like, and I just need that. I want to have that job that's going, I know where my money's coming from. I know it's going to be there every 2 weeks.
Yeah. It's tough when that's not there. And luckily for me, like, not luckily, but we've built that to the point where I'm the same way. Like, I do have the check coming in every 2 weeks. And because of that,
to get to that point,
because of that, I have strategically put people in place. Like, I don't want to do the office work. Like, I'm just not good at that. Somebody else is. They have the mentality where they're like, I'm good at this and I'm going to do it. I'm like, I can't handle the office work. Like, it just drives me bonkers. And so I've put that in place. I serve the papers when I need to, but I have a paycheck that comes in every 2 weeks. And that's given me the flexibility to now be like, okay, now I'm bored of being bored, right? Because sometimes, like, there's honestly days where I'm like, I didn't do anything today for business. Maybe I answered a few questions here and there, but like, I didn't do much. I pay other people to do that. So now I'm like opening different things, like, hey, why don't we like create t-shirts, right? And so then all of a sudden somebody calls me like, hey, we need this big order. I'm like, all right, I've never really done a big order before, but I mean, if I can do one, I can do 350. Like, it might take time. But I just like, I'm like, okay, like, yeah, sure, I'll do it. Like, I mean, I've practiced enough to know how to do it. And so that's just how I think. And so then I'm like, okay, well, what about this over here? What about this over here? And for me, like, even if I don't stick with it long term and they're like, I'll pay, you know, I need somebody to blah, blah, blah. I'm like, I'll figure that out. Like, yeah, sure. I'll get you that. And if I made, you know, $500, I'm like, oh, that $500 can go over here. You know what I mean? That can go towards something, or it can go, you know, so I just am, you know, still working on it, still working on building this empire that I have. But it just intrigues me, like, the way everybody's brain works. Like, are we inherently built that way? Or is it a product of how we were raised? Or is it, you know, like a combination? Or, you know, is it like what gets it? Above. Because there's people just can't do it. Like, even in other businesses, like I've had, you know, in the financial business, let's just talk financial business. My buddy James can handle that business like it's nothing. Like, he's been very successful in that. He's done very well. He and I started kind of at the same time. He a little before me, but he's really blown up with that business. But for me, like, I couldn't handle like the intricacies of dealing with people's money and things like that. And so it just didn't work for me. Like, I just couldn't like mentally handle that. And so,
and I wonder too, if it has to do with like what you're interested in. Like, you will definitely put more time and effort into things that interest you.
Yeah.
I also think it has to do with ADD.
I mean,
like, for me,
like, I don't suffer with ADD.
Right. And that could be the difference, where with ADD or ADHD, whatever one, we lose focus and we get bored. We move on very quickly. Where I do, and this is my dilemma. I want to do like the t-shirt business, for example. I have a lot of great ideas to put on shirts. Like,
I know, I get them every day.
Right. But not even like ones that I've seen, like I've seen others, but then there's things that I think of, like I have a little list of like things I could put on shirts. I'm afraid though that I'll invest the money into like the heat press, which it's not a lot, I get it, but I'll invest the money into the heat press, into the vinyl cutter. Like, I've looked into all of it. and then I'll get bored.
Yeah.
And decide I don't want to do it. And now I just have to sell the shit. And so it's like, what's the reality? And for me, the reality is it doesn't even matter if it's making money. I'm just bored and I don't want to do it anymore. Like,
yeah.
Because I'm not relying on that money. And if I'm not relying on it, it's great to have, don't get me wrong, but it's like, I mean, I don't really need that. And so for me, because I know that that's how my brain works, that's the main reason I haven't done it. Because I'm like, I get up to work now because of the time change. I wake up at 2:15 in the morning to be, online working by 3
I forgot. I was wondering why you said 2:15 came early. I'm like, I don't know. I guess it came early.
That's right.
I forgot time change.
Yeah. So time change, instead of 4 hours behind you, now I'm 5, and which puts me 4 hours behind Utah time. So now I wake up at 2:15 so that I can be online by 3 for work. And I think, it's not like I'm 100% busy when I'm online working. There's plenty of time where I could be here in the morning, making the shirts, doing all of that stuff. And I see there's a need for it. Like I see on Facebook, all of the groups, like people are like, hey, can anybody make these shirts for me? And usually it's like, I had somebody making them and they canceled last minute. Because I have reached out to quite a few of them to say like, when do you need them by? And it's always very short suspense. It seems like there's a lot of flaky people here. So it's like, oh, I need them in 2 days. I'm like, oh shoot, I'm sorry. Like my brother does this, but he's on the mainland, whatever. Right. So I feel like there is a need. I do think also there's tons of farmers markets around here that if I set up a booth, sold them for $20 or whatever, they'd sell. But it's am I going to get bored of this part? It's not because I don't have the time. It's not that I don't have the interest. It's, I know how my brain works, and eventually, very quickly, I'll get bored of this and think like, whatever, like I'm done. I need to get rid of this shit.
What's crazy to me is like, I am kind of opposite of that. So obviously I've been in the same business 16 years. And I always tell people I will win because I'll be here longer than you. And like, I will outdo everyone. Like, I don't care, because sometimes like they'll come to me, like my office, and I'm like, hey, there's another process server kind of in the area. He's going around and he's telling people he's going to do it for cheaper, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, I don't. So he might get a few jobs, like, but he's not going to stick around. Like, I promise you, he won't stick around. And it's happened multiple times, over and over and over again. But when I was that guy, like going around trying to get business, there was no other option for me. Like, I was going to make it work. And I mean, at the time there were a couple things I was trying to do. This one was just the one that stuck, and I have just stuck with it. And I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to like, just keep building this machine. And even if I get bored of it, like, which I did at one point, I was burned out. More than bored, I was just burned out. And another story for another time, but I just have stuck with it and stayed with it and stayed there. And so even with this t-shirt thing, like, to me, it's fun. Like the hats. In fact, I texted Sean yesterday. Sean, I duplicated what I made Sean, because, he got his, mine's not Cowboys colors. It's just, I liked the color scheme. And so I made it for Sean. It's Cowboys colors, but for me, it's just, just the scheme.
Blue, navy and gray.
And I said, hey man, I just made what I made you, so that when we get together, we can be matchy.
Aw,
and he's like, eh. But anyways, I did that and I texted it to him, and I'm like, dude, I'm so over making hats. Like, it's driving me nuts, because these patches, they're like hot glue. And so they're heat pressed. Then I have to put them on the heat press. Well, then it never like presses right. And then it just drives me nuts. Well, I'm like, dude, I'm so over it. I'm so over making these hats. Like same day, I got some patches in for this job, this big job I'm doing for this guy. And the patches came in and they were like self-adhesive, and it's like super sticky, like not going to come off. You know what I mean? Like you would have to like these will come off even though they're hot glued on. I just have to like rip them hard enough. And that came in, and I put that sticker on, and I'm like, back in business, right? Like, I'm just going to buy self-adhesive sticky ones. You know what I mean? So like, I go through those things where I'm like, I'm so fed up with trying to figure this out and make it right. And then that happens, and I'm like, done. Like, I'm back in.
Right. Better solution.
Yeah. So then I'm like, oh my gosh, like this makes it so much. So I just stick with it, and I figure out a way, and I find out a way, just to make things work. I just don't quit because I got bored. You know what I mean? Like, I may put it on the back burner for a day or two, but then I'm like, okay, now how can I just am always strategizing. Like, how can I get more? And so I'm like, if I could, so like for me, I'm like always building these plans. Like, okay, if I could get 2 customers that give me a profit of, $1,500 a month, that's an extra $3,000 that just goes to me, because nobody else is working this thing. It's only me, So yeah, it funnels through my business, but it's a bonus, right? Or something like that. I don't know. So I just think about that. Like, what causes people to do the things they do, like based on their decision making, based on their brain and how it works.
And I think it's
Because
just
mine's
due
just
ambition.
different.
And what's your ambition? Like when I was in my 20s, I mean, heck, from the time that I could work, I always had 2 and 3 jobs.
Right.
Clear until like 36, 37. Because it was like my ambition at that point and my mentality at that point was, if I have time to sit, I have time to make money. So it was always like, how can I make money? But it wasn't like I'm going to go start my own business.
Yeah. For you, it was always like, let me go get another job.
Hey, I'm going to go another job. So I'd have 2 or 3 jobs, but I'd be making money. And
But for you, like at the time, you were probably making what? Like you're single, probably making $2,000, $2,500 a month, $3,000
maybe
between the 3
So,
jobs.
right. Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
And
so it's
sometimes
like
those were 2 full-time jobs
Right.
and a part-time.
So I made all the money I needed to make. You know what I mean? But for me,
Right.
I'm like, I don't know. Like I have some pretty big dreams and pretty big ambition, but I just keep going. You know what I mean? Like I don't stop, and to a fault almost, like
Yeah.
to where I don't miss things. I don't miss the kids' games. But I feel like I could do more there. So
Right.
I don't know.
I mean, you
my
just have to
thought.
find a way to balance it, I guess. But, and honestly, that's the biggest reason. That's the biggest reason I never went into business for myself, was because like, I'm afraid to rely on myself in that sense.
Right.
Because I get bored. Like I get bored very quickly with people, with things, doesn't matter. I'm bored of it already, and I can't, it's not that I don't have the want or the ambition. My brain just is not the same as yours, where I really do get bored. And no matter how much I want to push through, my ADHD is like, nah, bitch, like we ain't pushing
We
through
going
on
to the
this.
beach. Let's go.
Right. We're done,
Put your
So it's
swimsuit
like,
on.
I know. And so that's the reason. I mean, I have researched, I have done everything that I knew. Like, what's the best type of material to use? Should we use the hot, the whatever it's called, the vinyl, the iron-on vinyl, heat press vinyl? Should we use this? Like, what are the best things to use? I've done the research, but it's like, do I want to invest in this? Like, even prime example, the canoe club thing. Like, I was all in, paid my dues, and then I'm like, I don't want to do competitive.
5 minutes later.
Yeah, like I'm going to do the rec league now, but now I'm like, well, shit, that means I got to commit to those practices. And what if I don't want to go to those practices? So now it's like, nah, I'm out. Like I want to do it, but it pretty much like I have emailed. So I figure you're like, if they email back and say, hey, you can switch to the rec league, great. I'll go try it probably. But I'm also like,
And
I don't
I'm
like
done.
to have to, here's what it is. I don't like to have to do something because somebody else tells me I have to do it.
Right.
Like you're telling me I have to be at practice at these times. Now I don't want to do it.
Talking about
Right. Now I'm like, no, I'm good. So, and it's funny because that I think probably stems back to like issues with authority that I've had my entire life. Like, you're not going to tell me to do something. You've lost your freaking mind.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do that because you want me to do that. So now it's like, that's almost translated into my daily life where people are like, hey, do you want to make plans to do it? I'm like, I don't make plans. I'm not going to make plans with you.
Yeah.
And they're like, why?
There's the meme that says like, like basically they're trying to get out of these plans they made 3 weeks ago. Like, I made these plans 3 weeks ago. Like, now I have to actually follow through. Like, yeah, I'm not going to make it.
And this is one thing that I tell everybody, like new people I'm meeting, if there's a potential guy I'm going to hang out with, I'm like, listen, I need you to know I'm not a planner.
Yeah.
And it's not because I'm waiting for something better to come along. It's because I don't know how I'm going to feel on the day of the plan. And I just don't want to,
And
if I
whether
don't
I
want to
wanna
go,
go.
there's, yeah. So it's like, I'm super spontaneous. So if you want me to do something, you ask me an hour before and then I'll be like, okay. And people are like, well, that's not going to work. I'm a planner. And I'm like, all right.
So I think I told you this, but I don't know if I did. But I'm totally that way. Like, I'm sitting in my bedroom one day, and Val's sick, so she couldn't go anywhere. The kids are like, school night, whatever. So as you know, like Holly, we talked about this a long time ago, like on our Making Friends episode from like episode 2, about going and getting ice cream with dudes from my neighborhood, right? So there's a bunch of dudes that live in my neighborhood that I go to church with, and I'm like, you know what? I don't know these guys really well. Like, I don't really hang out with them. There's just not a lot in common. Like, I own my own business, and they work for somebody else, and it's just
Right.
There's not that, like, it's just different. And I definitely don't want it to be like, I'm the owner of the company and you're my employee kind of thing. Like, absolutely not. Like, I'm not that kind of person. Like, I don't care what you do. Like, I'm gonna be your friend. But I just am not very good at being the friend, like putting myself out there.
Starting it. Right.
So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to get everybody's now. Like, I have access to everybody's phone number. So I had already most of them in my phone. So I sent out a group text, everybody on this group text. It's 9:00 at night. And I'm like, every single person. I'm like, hey guys, like, hey, Scott Pritchard, totally random. And just so you guys know, this is kind of how I roll. But I realize I don't know a lot of you guys very well. And so I'm just like, hey, maybe we could go get some ice cream. If anybody's interested, I just have the people in our neighborhood that go to church with us in the group, just so it's easier to like carpool and things. But is anybody down? I kind of want some ice cream. Anybody down to go get some ice cream? So then a bunch of people, pinged back and, oh man, next time, blah, 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 da, da, da. I mean, it was literally 9:00 and I don't know these guys very well. Like I could text up my neighbor and be like, dude, Grayson, let's go get some ice cream. He'd be like, yeah, let's go down.
Right.
And there's a couple other guys I could do that with, but I just wanted to kind of throw it out there. Nobody could do it. So then I'm like, all right, whatever. So about 30 minutes later, 9:30, I text one of my good friends from church who lives in another neighborhood. And I'm like, hey bro, you want to go get some ice cream? And he's like, oh man, I just got home. Like I was at this activity all day. I just got home, just put my feet up. And I'm like, you know what? I'm so glad he said that, because honestly, like, I don't know that I really want to go right now at 9:30. We're already good friends, So I'm like, I don't even know that I want to go, actually, now that I'm thinking about it, like been laying on the bed for 30 minutes. Like there's a whole different like dynamic, like 9:00. I haven't even started laying on my bed yet. And then by 9:30, I'm waiting for people to respond. And now I've been laying on my bed. I'm like, I don't really want to go either.
Right.
So I think I may have ended up going with Jared that night, but I don't remember. But anyways, I'm like, yeah, I didn't go actually that time. But anyways, I'm just like, I'll do that all the time. Like I'll make the plan right now. Like we have like a 15-minute window before I'm like, oh dude, I'm off to the next
done. Right. That's how I am. That's exactly how I am. So it's like yesterday. So the girl I told you about at the beginning of the show, Lisa, she had messaged me because she'd seen me in the group and is like, hey, you always make me laugh. Maybe we could get together. Right. So we had originally planned like to hang out today because it was supposed to be nice and sunny today. Of course, it's rainy. So as I'm sitting there yesterday, because I'm like, hey, we can like totally plan for the beach or whatever. Well, I've been kind of just stuck in the house the last 2 weeks because it has been raining. And it's like, I mean, yeah, in my car, but I don't want to go out in the rain. You know what I mean? It's like a whole deal to go out in the rain. So I've kind of just been sitting here doing a whole lot of nothing, being bored out of my mind. So when she texted yesterday, or when we were texting and we had made plans for the beach today, I then respond back and I'm like, hey, I also just thought about it. Like, I don't have anything going on tonight, or, I don't have anything going on today. If you want to meet up, we can grab some dinner or drinks or whatever tonight, or, today. I just said today. Well, it was probably like 2:00. And so she messaged back. She's like, oh yeah, like I'm totally down. Like I have a Pilates class at 4, but I can meet you at 5:30. And I was like, yeah, cool. But, the closer got to 5:30, the more I was like, now I got to go get ready. Like I was ready in the moment. I didn't cancel though, because I also considered like, hey, if she is cool, this could be a friend who I could go do things with. So,
and she reached out to you and the reason she reached out to you. And so that's always like, you don't want to kind of like, you're not the one initiating. So when somebody initiates to you, like, hey, like, I think it'd be cool to hang out. Like, that's a whole different dynamic too.
And I'm glad we ended up going and we met up around 5:30. And I mean, we hung out till 10:00 last night, just shooting the shit and getting to know each other. And she seems really cool. So I'm glad I went that time. But it would have probably would have been different if it was like, let's say Skaren lived here and she's like, yo girl, let's get together at 5:30. I probably would have texted her at like 5 and been like, yo, I'm out. Done. Like I've been sitting on this chair. Like, why don't you come over here instead? Yeah. Like instead of me, I don't want to put effort into get. But then I realized that's also something I struggle with. Like here, I don't want to put effort into a lot of things. And I'm like, sometimes you have to put effort into shit. Like,
I don't have any friends. Well, how much effort have you put in? Well, none. Okay.
Right. Well, and I think too, it's like it's also been like I've put in quite a bit of effort here to make friends, but they're just flaky. Like they rain check. And then one girl who, Lions fan, we were going to watch the Lions-Niners game together. She flakes out on me like, oh, well, I'm meal prepping. And I'm like, but you knew you were going to be meal prepping when you made the plan.
You knew you were going to be meal prepping, or you knew you had a plan to come to the football game. Like one of the two.
But it was like several times she rain checked on me. And this is also why I don't make plans either in advance, because now I've planned to do this. I've actually like, okay, I'm trying to make friends. I'm going to put in this effort. She's rain checked on me. But then out of nowhere, like 2 weeks later, after last time she rain checks me, she wants to hang out. And I just responded back like, I'm sorry, this just really isn't a friendship I'm interested in pursuing any longer. Like it's super inconsistent and you've rain checked more than you haven't. Like, I don't want to put effort into something that's wasting my time. I was like, I wish no hard feelings, good luck. She was like, thank you, good luck. But it was just like, That's also like, don't make plans if you have no intention. And I know a lot of times that's me. Like, I will make plans, but then the day of, it's like, fuck, I just don't feel like doing that.
Yep.
So now I've just decided, no, I'm not making plans anymore, like ever. So
there might be some things you have to.
Well, true. I mean, I have to make plans to travel. Concert, things like that. But there's even been days where, I mean, I've spent money on tickets. And then the day of the concert, and I'm like, I just don't feel like going. It's 120 degrees outside.
Yeah.
And
it's Texas. You're like,
yeah,
So we got this outside venue and July 23rd. I'm like, what? No, I'm not going.
But that's it. It's like,
it's 110 at 10 o'clock at night. What are you talking about?
Yeah. So that's the thing. Like, if I don't have to plan, I don't plan, but I will plan for the appropriate things. I have to plan for travel, for work. You know, my son's coming next week. My oldest, he's going to come visit me for 8 days. Fun. Yeah. So we had to plan that out.
You got to plan for us to come in a couple months.
Right. Right. So I know, for example, with him, he's a huge history buff. He wants to go to Pearl Harbor. Yeah. So I'm like, okay, I have to plan in advance for Pearl Harbor to get the ticket, or we won't be able to go to Pearl Harbor. So those things, it is taking a gamble because it's like, okay, we have to choose a day and a time we're going. So it doesn't matter if I feel like going that day or not, we're going, you know, because he's here for 8 days. But otherwise it's like, do I want to put effort into that?
Yeah.
Most of the time I don't, especially like for dating, where it's like so much putting effort into shit for it just to be the same outcome. Or with friendships, putting so much effort in to try to be friends and then same outcome. It's like, just not worth my time. It's not worth it.
I get it. I get it. Friendships are tough, man, because especially when you're older, like easy for kids, tougher when you have kids, for sure.
Yep.
Well, cool. Okay, Holly, let's go ahead and wrap things up for today. But I just wanted to finish up with this. I got a phone call from a guy I know that's a referee. He's a white hat. Okay, so it means he's the head dude.
Main guy.
He's the head guy. He's in charge. And he has a crew, a varsity crew. And he calls me up, and I asked him to be my mentor last year. I've asked him a bunch of questions. I send him questions. If I'm on the football field and something weird happens after the game, I'll call him up and be like, hey, bro, this happened. Like, what's going on? Anyways, he calls me up a couple days ago, and he's like, hey, I've lost one of my guys on my crew, and I want to know if you'll be on my varsity crew with me.
What? That's big news, bro.
And I'm like,
what's your job gonna be though?
Flood of thoughts.
Do you all have the same? Do you have the same job every time, or this is now your job?
That's now my position.
Line judge.
I'm the head linesman. So I am on the line. So it would be either H or
head linesman.
So there's a line judge, and then there's a head linesman. So
you're the head?
Well, not really. It's just so during the game you have the H and the L, and they're both on the line of scrimmage, right? And they're the ones that spot the ball. They're the ball spotter. So they move down the field when they.
Oh, you put the ball on the field?
So that the umpire is the one who actually spots the ball in the middle of the field. The head linesman just gives the head linesman and the line judge give the spot. So like they're watching, they're staying even kind of with the ball, and the guy goes down, boom, he's here. And then the umpire gets the ball and puts it down where we tell him to put it down. Anyways, I'm like flood of emotions and flood of thoughts because, Jared's playing, varsity next year, and Ava plays on Thursdays, and he's like, I need some on Thursdays and Fridays because he does a lot of Thursday games. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, bro, I can't. I want to do it so bad, but I can't commit at this moment. Like, let me figure some things out. So, anyways, I talked to Val. I'm like, Val, this is what's happening. She's like, do it. Like, Jared's like, we know Jared's going to be on varsity, but how much is he going to play? And I can just record the games and blah blah blah. Right. She's like, you got to do it. Like, because this guy, he's one of the top 2 crews. Like, there's 2 crews. He's like top 2. There's more than 2
in
crews.
The state.
There's more than 2 crews in our chapter. So like in the area, and he's like top 2. And she's like, you don't get this opportunity all the time. So anyways, I had a long discussion with him yesterday, and we talked about a lot of stuff. And I just said, hey man, I'm in wherever you need me. Like, I've talked to my kids, and I talked to Jared and Ava both, and they're like, Ava's like, Dad, you've seen me play like 1,000 times, and you still coach my team. And Jared's like, he's like, listen, I'm going to be like 3rd string. So
how's that going to work out though for the games that you're supposed to coach? Well, your assistant coach, who is it? Brian, is that his name? For Ava.
Jordan. No. So it's not going to have it's during, like middle school season. So we won't have a season.
Oh, good. Okay.
We won't be playing. So anyways, I'm like, dude, I'm in. So 2nd year, I reffed a lot of games last year, middle school. Did a couple of, JV games, but it'll be good.
Does it come with a pay raise? Varsity more?
It does. You get more varsity. So varsity, you get paid more per the game, but you also get paid a portion of the gate. I don't know how much you get paid, but you get an X amount of how much comes in. So I'm like, dude, like I might be going to Hawaii a lot more, you know?
Sure.
Making the change. But anyways, it sounds fun. So he's like, I had to put somebody in on Fridays because I had to put in like they have to have their crew assembled. And he's like, so I have a guy on Friday that I just had to put a name in, and he can only commit to Fridays. He can't do Thursdays. But he's like, I don't really know him, and I've never refed with him. I don't know anything about him, so he may just be garbage, and I'll just put you in instead. Yeah. So I'm like, all right. So anyway, and it's 5A, 6A schools. It's not like 2A, that's 3A.
Giant. Yeah, it's not like 6-man football.
So anyways.
Dang, bro. Congrats. That's cool.
Thanks. So I'm excited.
You may end up in the Super Bowl.
One day, bro.
They're going to be 80 years old. They're going to be like the oldest ref ever, but you going to make it.
55. I'll do there at 55. Okay. But I'm excited to do that. And, you know, Ava said she wants to referee with me. So maybe one day I'll have my own crew and Ava can be on the crew with me.
All I can say is you better start getting your ass in shape because you're going to be running.
My back's
been
feeling better
again.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I would recommend running right now. That's
I'm not going to run
on your
a lot.
Back and your knees. I would recommend rowing. That's good on your back. That's good for your back.
Of course, you'd recommend rowing for everything.
Swimming's also really good though.
Good. It's cold.
Join the pool, the natatorium.
We'll see how that goes. Should be fun.
Man, congrats! Big news.
Big news.
Jinx.
Yep. So, anyways,
how long have we been talking today? Though we started the timer, so we wouldn't have a 2-hour show. Look, we did it.
Hour and a half. Hour 29:57, and there's been some edits, so we're going to be definitely lower than that. So.
Good deal.
We definitely, for all of you who had to split up our show the last couple of weeks into two, like it was for you. Like you could listen to us for 2 days last week instead of one. So.
And here's the thing. It's a lot different when we don't live in the same place. Like when we lived in the same place before, we saw each other during the week. We chatted, we talked. Yeah. And now it's like, this is aside from the memes or the reels or whatever we send each other. Like this is most where we talk.
So anyways, thanks everybody for being around. And we will see you next time.
Aloha.
Hey, what's up, my channel? Please hit the drop a like and hit the subscribe button. Looking for my first subscriber. Can't subscribe myself. Can't do that for some reason. I don't know why. Wish you could.